Mhm. As you and me both know, communism is stupid. You know why communism is stupid? Because the communist countries around the world are moving towards democracy. You idiot. And so, what we're going to learn today on this particular program is that Marxists are trying to hijack your rational thinking. This YouTube go on to a what's called a suicide mission, and then deliver you into the hands of Satan. That's right, I said it. Uh-huh. And Satan is really just the really dumb people who do any debaucherous thing that they can possibly imagine in order to experience pleasure. And pleasure is their only option. Option. It's the only thing they want is pleasure. Let me show you that. Let me show you that. Let me show you that they all they want is pleasure. That's it. Let's go right here to the history. His story, not her story, not her story, but history. Right? And then let's find when they said that's all they want is pleasure.
Wow. Look at that. Now watch this. They keep
Just look at
tilting
these
their
hoes.
head back, turning their heads upside down, and they're mocking everybody. Just keep watching.
At the end they say, that's all we want is pleasure.
So what do the hands
Satan worshippers.
represent?
What do the hands
See,
represent?
she didn't want to answer that question. What are the hands for?
Let me show you what
The
the hands
demon hands.
represent. That's what the hands
Right.
represent.
Sketchy tank.
That's exactly what
Right,
the
because the
hands
tanks are
represent.
sketchy. I get it.
Here we go. It's a woman's touch, right? See the girl leg. Just look at this. She's turned upside down, and they're taking one of these hands that's on a broomstick. It's meant to be a hand of a demon, and she's rubbing her face, and she's upside down. There you go. There it is. And they have an upside down triangle on them, representing their privates.
Dead. Playing dead.
These are demons.
Oh my god, what are they doing? What are you doing? Oh my gosh. Is this performance art? Would you say this is your guys' performance art?
Would you say that it's our performance art?
It kind of looks like it, but I'm not sure what your intentions are.
Pure joy is our intention. That's the only intention.
Pleasure. Of course. See? That's all they want is pleasure. That's what a Satanist is there for. They had a whole march. You know what I'm saying? Little girls around and they having sex, simulated sex with each other. That's just dumb. And that's really stupid. And I'm gonna remind you that Mike Brown was shot in 2014, which was 6 years into Barack Obama's presidency. Why did the police shootings ramp up? Barack Obama tripled the police budget around the country. Budget, money. They were militarized, and so therefore they feel honored and feel like there's nothing that we can do about their oppression at all. You understand that? So when Mike Brown died, Michael Brown, he was only 18 years old. He wasn't even old enough to be a soldier. Got to be 20 years old to be a soldier. And so these clowns come around and use Mike Brown and use the pain of all victims, including Trayvon Martin and his family. The CIA pressed a button and activated Black Lives Matter. And they think they smarter than God. These people are really dumb. So they raised over $80 million and haven't given one single solitude red penny to the community. It's the Black Lives Matter website, blacklivesmatter.com. They state here that we affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. Our network centers those who have been marginalized within black liberation movements. Marginalized? Are you talking about the black liberation movements that were mostly men centered? Now, you want to talk about queer and trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, and women. Don't you realize that women have been a part of black liberation movements since the beginning of black liberation movements? Black Lives Matter? Don't you get it? Are you dumb as you stupid? Which one is it so that I can treat you accordingly? Moving on, we go here and we seen that Satanists only deal with pleasure. Activate Black Lives Matter so they can come in and deal with the pleasure. Let's go over here and take a look at this stupid dude here. His name is Don Lemonade. Pay very close attention to what he has to say.
The party of no, trying to distract and deflect with some really shameful statements about race, like this disgusting claim that Black Lives Matter doesn't like families.
I know the strength that Black Lives Matter had in this last election. I know it's a group that it doesn't like the old-fashioned family. Disturbed that we have another program here in which we're increasing the marriage penalty.
Now, he clearly stated in that brief little presentation and introduction of Black Lives Matter in the Congress, which they have been talking about for many years, he said that Black Lives Matter organization has power to sway the elections. That's what he said. And so the young lady that you're about to listen to took great offense to him banging on Black Lives Matter organization and conflated the Black Lives Matter organization with the phrase Black Lives Matter because it's the exact same wording. The phrase Black Lives Matter is absolutely true. The organization Black Lives Matter are dumb. They don't know what they're doing. We're getting mad and they're getting rich. Watch out, little bitch. We're getting mad and they're getting rich. Watch out, little bitch. Don't you understand that Black Lives Matter is hustling y'all? These motherfuckers ain't did nothing for no community nowhere. including the community that they got their fame on, Mike Brown in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm right down the street from there. Now, what I've come to realize over the years is that people love being hustled. They don't mind being hustled. It looks good. It's a worldwide phenomenon that the phrase Black Lives Matter is being reverberated throughout the earth. That's honorable. That's commendable. Big up to the Black Lives Matter organization for accomplishing that particular goal. The problem that have personally with the Black Lives Matter movement, the Black Lives Matter organization, because the Black Lives Matter movement is apart from the organization and it's 99.9% of the movement. The movement itself is 99.9% of the movement. You got 0.1% that is the Black Lives Matter organization. I don't like you being in the way of our progress. In fact, I despise it. So, moving on, the man said that Black Lives Matter organization had hella power in the last election that just happened in 2020. So this lady getting ready to get super pissed and conflate the organization with the movement, which is irresponsible. You cannot do that. There are two completely distinct and separate understandings. The phrase Black Lives Matter is absolutely true. The Black Lives organization is attempting to destroy rational thinking.
Come on. Doesn't like the old-fashioned family. What does that mean when Black Lives Matter was about police brutality and violence and trying to keep family members and loved ones alive?
Oh, now, if you peep game, Don Lemonade never offers any form of solution. All he does is complain. That's all he ever does. He angers me. And you need to fix that. You need to pay tithes. Don Lemonade, you need to pay tithes to uh, $ Black Redeem Me. Pay your tithes.
Sounds like family values to me. What he said is not even coded racism. That's right out, saying it right out loud. Saying it right out loud. And people show you who they are, huh? He thinks he can just throw it in as an aside about Black Lives Matter, like nothing, the old-fashioned family. What does old-fashioned mean? Huh? What does old-fashioned mean? What does that mean? Someone asking that? Insulting millions and millions of black families. Stacey Plaskett, not having it, not any of it.
How dare you?
So again, I ask you, what is complaining going to do? Absolutely nothing. Complaining only elevates workers in the workspace in order for them to become the manager over an equal. So you got two customer service reps. One customer service rep complains constantly. The other customer service rep is the highest selling customer service rep in the company. The one who complains with no goddamn sales gets promoted over the highest selling customer service rep in the company because the squeaky wheel gets the grease in what you call Satan's society. However, whenever you complain in the heavenly society, there are many examples, but I can think of one right off the top of my head. Whenever the children of Israel complained about not having pheasant to eat, they said, check this out. Here go your pheasant. They ate the pheasant and caught a plague. Now, another example that I have is when Aaron and Moses' sister Miriam complained about Moses' wife. The Most High said, okay, here's your reward. Take this leprosy for 7 days. Get out the camp right now. The heavenly society does not allow complaining. You do what the fuck you're told, or else. Another example of complaining in the heavenly society is when those men and women was complaining about Moses in the wilderness, and the Most High said, back up, Moses. I'm getting ready to do a brand new thing. I'm talking about he showed out that day. I'm going to do something nobody's ever seen before. And he swallowed them people up. They caused a little distance from between Moses and Aaron and the people who was complaining against Moses and Aaron. And then the Most High swallowed them up in a sinkhole and then covered the sinkhole back up to flat ground as if the sinkhole that never existed. You understand that? And they was alive. The Most High buried them alive until they died. You cannot complain. You are not allowed to complain in the heavenly society. You're going to do what you're told, or else. Now watch this conflation here.
How dare you say that Black Lives Matter, Black people do not understand old-fashioned families. Despite some of the issues, some of the things that you have put forward that I've heard out of your mouth in the Oversight Committee, in your own district, we have been able to keep our families alive for over 400 years, and the assault on our families to not have Black lives or not even have Black families. How dare you say that we are not interested in families in the Black community? That is outrageous.
It is outrageous.
As you can see there, she just flipped the whole script, took Black Lives Matter into the whole fight of blackness, which started way before Black Lives Matter was ever conceived of. The Black Lives Matter organization was ever conceived of. Black people have been fighting for liberation for a long time. And Black Lives Matter organization comes along and just hijacks the entire rational thinking of an intelligent woman like that. As you can see behind her, Dwight. Mr. Dwight was right behind her, nodding her head. Yeah. Listen to my mammy. Listen to my mammy. I got her under control. As you can see, the queen, Sheila Jackson Lee. The queen, Sheila Jackson Lee, was directly behind her trying to get stuff together. She was getting her stuff together. She didn't nod her head one time. Her head did not nod one time. You know why? Because she had to stand with her homegirl. You understand that? She heard that woman conflating Black Lives Matter organization with the black movement, and Sheila Jackson Lee completely understood 1000% that the Black Liberation Movement has been going on way before the Black Lives Matter organization was the leaders of the Black Lives Matter organization was even born, even before their parents were born. You idiot. So this mammy stood right up here and conflated the Black Lives Matter organization with the Black Liberation Movement. Girl, stop. Now listen to this dude, Don Lemonade.
Yes. And again, if I have to say this every single night of my life while I'm here, I will. You need to know the history of this country. Do you know how many black families were separated during slavery? I've had my ancestry done twice. It is so hard to even find records that go back even 2 generations sometimes, because what? The intentional separation of black families. And no records. You know why? They were considered property.
He sat right there and co-signed that intelligent woman's conflation of disinformation. He perfectly agreed with her that the Black Liberation Movement that started back when Jesus was born and even before Jesus. You crazy person. These things have been going on for a long time. You understand me? And so it's over now. So all your little fancy editing and backgrounds of the city behind you and that expensive little chocolate suit you got on with your magic spell trying to wear brown in order to represent black people. You don't represent us, Don Lemonade, at all. You forgot you was black. And then not only did you forget you was black, when somebody called you out on it, you finally remembered you was black just a few months ago when you was getting persecuted. You had to remember that you black, you see. But people in the Black Liberation Movement always know we black. So no, so Don Lemonade, we don't want to hear what you got to say, brother. You co-signing that lady because you yourself is a mammy. I said a mammy because you don't even think you're a man. So since you think you're a woman, you must be a mammy.
So it's God.
Listen, man. God ain't got on your side. God is gonna smite you and everybody that thinks like you. Don't you understand that? You better stop calling out to my heavenly Father when you's a dummy. Don't you get it? You speak constantly without evidence. You change the narrative from Black Lives Matter organization to the Black Lives Matter phrase. Them two are incompatible. They hijacked the Black Lives Matter phrase in order to destroy your rational thinking. And I don't fall for no stupid shit. I got a sound mind. I don't have fear of you clowns at all. So we don't have fear. We have a sound mind. So we understand that you attempting to reverberate fear into the community, just like the the wizard, the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz would put your black face up on the screen, and fire and stuff would come out of the pyrotechnics beside the screen to make him look scary because he's angry. Don't anger the great and terrible Oz. Brother, you don't even have the likelihood or likeness of the Wizard of Oz to even consider yourself terrible. Nobody's scared of you. Ignore the man behind the curtain. That's all you niggas do. That's all you do. You sell out, cash in people. You keep cashing in on our pain to the tune of $80 million. And then when Mike Brown dad told you to give him $20 million, you laughed in his face and probably pissed on his picture. Women, y'all need to stop that madness, man. I understand y'all control that little fake ass organization, Black Lives Matter. But you have nothing to do with the phrase Black Lives Matter. You have nothing to do with the Black Liberation Movements. That's BLM, Black Liberation Movement. Now, if you listen to this next video, right, you will notice, hold on, I ain't done with this guy right here yet.
It just angers me sometimes that people can be so ignorant.
The great and terrible Oz.
And then there's Tim Scott.
See, look, he just moved on to the next topic without offering one solution or one shred of evidence to the rhetoric that he was spitting. Uselessness. Now, listen to this woman here in an interview in 2015. Here's colors in a revealing 2015 interview.
We actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists.
Now, why are you stuttering? Let's hear that again. I don't understand why you're stuttering. If you're so confident in yourself, why are you stuttering?
We are trained Marxists.
You love Marxism so much, but you scared to say it.
We are trained Marxists.
Why is she scared to say that she a trained Marxist, that whole organization are trained Marxists? Why? Trained? Trained by who? Who trained you to be a Marxist? Who trained you to be a Marxist? Let's figure that out. All right, let's go right here to the history, because I found who trained these ladies in Marxism. I found who did it. Who's the one? Who's the trainer of these ladies that want to be men so bad? Who's the trainer? If you want equal rights, you can take these equal rights to the face. Yeah, you can do that. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that. I meant to hit history, not herstory. Not herstory. Hold up. Let me tell you why I keep saying herstory. Now look at this here. Black Lives Matter, right? Let's go here. Bureau of Land Management.gov. That ain't the one I'm looking for. I'm looking for Black Lives Matter. Now look at this thing here where it say herstory. That ain't on this page. It's on some other page. Now, is it here or is it here? I think it's here. Look at that. About Black Lives Matter, 6 years strong, and herstory. let's read what the herstory is. In 2013, three radical black organizers, Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi, created a black-centered political will and movement building project called Black Lives Matter, BLM, Black Liberation Movement. Hijacked the letters as well. It was in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer, George Zimmerman. Now, everybody on the face of the planet knows that it was a dude connected to these people in the beginning. Everybody in the world knows there's a black dude connected to them in the beginning. But now they just erased him out of his story, and then they retitled it Herstory. Ha! Herstory. Ha! You see what I'm saying? The project is now a member-led global network of more than 40 chapters. Girl, stop! Why you way behind? You not gonna ever, never beat the Most High. It's impossible. I don't even know why y'all even try to do that kind of stuff. It's annoying. All right, now I found their trainer right here. Let me show you who their trainer is. Look at her stupid face right there. Watch this.
Marx was, now here's where I get my right-wing friends they go nuts.
That's their trainer right there. Not him.
Was the greatest social scientist in the 19th century without compare. And all my friends at the
This their trainer.
institution go, ah!
Look at
And
there's her trainer. That's their trainer. You see what I'm saying? So listen to what she says here.
that I'm trying to reinvigorate.
She thinks she's slick with a witch self. Look now.
Egalitarianism of 18th century liberalism that I'm trying to reinvigorate.
And with the smug look at the end. See what I'm saying? She thinks she's slick. I found you. Who are you fooling, nigga? You won't fool me. I know my history. You understand me? So, if you take a look and listen to this silly, stupid madness that these people is trying to push on the people, listen real close. Listen good, like Nate the Snake say. Listen good.
Marxism is a theory based on the ideas of the philosopher Karl Marx. Marx was born in Germany in 1818 and died in London in 1883. He's buried in Highgate Cemetery in North London. Marxism is what is known as a conflict theory because it states that society is in conflict with each other, and Marxism claims that this conflict is between the rich and the poor. Now, Marxism, as we understand it as sociologists, is a political and economic philosophy, a view of the way things are now, and suggestions as to where society is headed. The danger is that we start to view it based on what we understand about its relationship to communism and the politics and oppression of the old Soviet Union. Marx never saw communism in this way. He saw it as liberation and as a leveler, a way of creating a fairer society, and of a way of getting the best out of all people, not just those with money and power. To really understand Marxism, we need to start with its opposite, capitalism. Capitalism represents the type of society you and I live in today. In Marx's terms, it's an economic system based on private ownership of the means of production. What this means is that our society today is based on a few people who own factories, businesses, shops, and other corporations. These corporations aren't owned by the people who work for them, the employees, or jointly by the employees and the owners, but by the owners only. Marx was formulating his theories during the Industrial Revolution, a time when Britain and other countries were going through a very dramatic change. The old feudal system, when lords of the manor owned the land, meant that the ordinary people had freedom and rights to all land. It was held in common. When the government passed a number of enclosure acts in the 1700s and 1800s, ordinary people no longer had the right to live on this land, and many of them were forced to pack up and move to the towns and the cities, which were beginning to grow due to the increase in factories and textile mills. Whereas previously people were free to keep their own animals and grow their own crops on common land, once they reached the cities, they had to find work in the factories, in the employment of the factory owners. The work was hard and often dangerous, and the pay was very poor. Many factory owners didn't want to pay high wages because this would mean less profit for them, so children were often used as cheap labour. The Industrial Revolution promoted a capitalist way of thinking, what we call a capitalist ideology, and also created two distinct groups of people. The factory owners, who were middle class, Marx called these the bourgeoisie, and the workers, or working class, Marx called these the proletariat. Marx was on the side of the proletariat because he saw them as being treated unfairly by the factory owners. Not only did Marx see them as being treated unfairly or being oppressed, he also saw the system as one that tried very hard to make sure that the poor stayed poor and the rich continued to get richer. So Marxism views capitalist society as being based on a system that encourages inequality, because the rich will always need someone to do the work they don't want to do. It's called a conflict theory because society is in conflict, the proletariat versus the bourgeoisie. However, Marx also suggested that at some point the working class would realize that they had the power to change things. Through education and personal development, some members of the proletariat would begin to understand the system better and devise ways of changing it. Marx believed that such radical change could only come about through revolution, when the workers rise up and overthrow those who were treating them unfairly. In place of capital.
Revolution. So Karl Marx magic is weak, nigga. Karl Marx wizardry is weak as fuck, nigga. Don't you know Toto see right through you, nigga? He's the man behind the curtain. The Jewish clown that was behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz. This is Karl Marx. That's who the nigga was. You understand me? And then they try to make education exclusive to Marxism. Is you down? Capitalism don't got no education. Contributionism don't have no education. Socialism don't have no education. Only Marxism considers education and personal development. That's what you're telling me, Karl Marx? Your magic is weak. I'm Toto. Nice to meet you.
Capitalism, a new system would be established in which all people were treated equally and all the factories and businesses were owned by everyone. In other words, they were communally owned. Marx called this system communism.
Communism. Communism? That's your plan for the liberation of black people is communism? As I told you in the beginning of this episode, every communist country on the face of the planet is moving towards democracy. So when you move towards democracy from communism, there's a middle ground in that in between communism and democracy called socialism. There's an even higher elevated understanding called contributionism, which is developed by the Ubuntu line of thinking. The Ubuntu trained some white guy that calls the Ubuntu training. The white guy calls it contributionism. The white man. You better stop the madness, man. We all up and get. We know what's going on. The plague is over for us, and now it's on you. The plague has gone on to you, clowns. Our captivity is over. In 2019, it was done for. Kaput will never be in captivity ever again. Thanks to Black Liberation Movement, BLM. Black Liberation Movement. How you gonna ignore in Cobra? How you gonna ignore the Black Folks Plan? How you gonna ignore Club of New Jerusalem? How you gonna keep all $80 million to yourself and not give any monies at all to the families that you are exploiting? You ain't smart enough to do that.